Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is where you are. Today is Thursday, October 8th, 2020, and here is your lesson for the day. Begin by starting here on our page. Navigate to modules if you haven't done that already. You'll see at the top of today's page, Thursday, 10/8/20. Go ahead and click on Lesson 3, Questioning Text Tool with Text 4. Here's our learning target for the day. I can analyze details within a section to craft text-specific questions. I will show I can do this by creating an open-ended text-specific question that analyzes the author's language. Note our agenda. We're going to start out with a statement sort, which you'll do on your own. You will choose your guiding question. We're going to do that part together to help you out. Then you're going to do your second read of text 4. It's the one about learning to fail if you want to get into college. And then you're going to have a chance to work with the text tool by yourself today after I give you a quick model, and then you're going to do your exit. Good questions versus not so good questions. Click on Next. All right, you can start your statement sort. In order to do this, you will have to skim and scan the text once again. Learning to fail, it'll be there for you, and then there are 3 questions. Pause the video now. Once you've submitted your entrance ticket and seen your answers, go ahead and click Next. Next, we're going to look at choosing a guiding question. I want you to remember that the reading process is a lot like a funnel. It starts out big at the top with our scanning, looking for text features, looking for is it fiction or nonfiction, noting who the author is and the title, getting a general sense of what the text will be about. Then we're going to select the tool that we're going to use. Since this is a nonfiction text today, you're going to use our what so what strategy and the questioning text tool. Then you're going to use information that you gathered from our strategy to summarize the text and have the correct information. We have done all of that. You are all working downward into the funnel, and now after we've read it for the first time, we're going to dig deeper and we're going to look at the text the second time. Remember that my example, if you're trying to put something together, if you're trying to build something, you don't just read the instructions and then say, well, I read it, so I must be good. You don't do that with a recipe. If you're baking something, if you're cooking something, you don't do that when you're assembling Lego. I think we've all probably done that at some point in our lives. And we don't just read the booklet and then go, oh, I can put this together. I know how. We constantly refer back to get new information, to get deeper meaning until we've processed the whole thing. We use the term process, and it just means until we've read and fully understand the author's intent, what the message was. Okay, we're going to be down here in this part right here. The after reading, we need to ask questions to dig deeper. So we need to determine what question to answer, right? So we have to come up with a good question that'll guide our reading. We say guide our reading, and what we really mean is focus on how to focus on what's important. So you've read it the first time, you have a sense of what it's about, you did a what so what, you have the topic, and then you have the main idea. So today's topic is about getting into college. Our main idea is what about getting into college? It's getting into college. You have to know that you're not going to be successful with everything. You're going to have to realize that there will be mistakes along the way. You have to learn to deal with failure, not accept failure and then live there, but rather accept failure and then move on and learn from it. That was our main idea. All right, now we're going to go in and how does the author get that message to us? We want to look at powerful words and phrases. So here's our guiding question. It's highlighted here in orange. What ideas in the text are powerful? We say powerful and we mean meaningful. Take a look at not powerful words and phrases versus powerful words and phrases. The first one, looked out the window. Okay, that conveys a message, but here's more meaning built into this one. Gazed blankly out the window, lost in thought. Both convey the idea that the person's looking out the window, but the second one shows what the person is doing while they're looking, what they're thinking. Look at the second one. If we say someone is sad, okay, that's an emotion. But if we say someone is miserable, that might generate a question in our mind, like, whoa, they're miserable. What things have happened? Okay, the next one, a lot to do. Okay, that conveys a message. I have a lot to do today. Well, a lot of us do. But look at the powerful version, drowning in an infinite number of tasks. Oh, that means that maybe that person needs help. If you just say I have a lot to do, people might not offer you help. Oh, you have a lot to do? Well, I'll let you get back to it. But drowning in an infinite number of tasks, that's really powerful. When you think about the words and phrases that are powerful, they should be specific and precise. Specific, like drowning in an infinite number of tasks, or precise, they were looking out the window, lost in thought. That conveys a very particular message. All right, here's the next part. We're going to be working, there's a lot of instructions on this page, but it's because all of your work is going to be referenced off of this. So everything through the highlighting is the first step, and then everything under the highlighting I put actually in your text tool. So if you're working alongside of this video, what I'll do is I'm going to set you up with this part, okay, right here, this top part. Then you pause the video and do it. And then you're going to come back to the video and then do the second part, which is everything right here where it says don't do anything with the boxes at the top. Okay. All right. So what are you going to be doing? You're going to go in and do a second full read. That means you're actually going to focus in on the specifics. You're going to really read it, not skim, not scan, but actually read it. Then you're going to look for words and phrases that are meaningful and are powerful, like we just reviewed. All right, open your text tool. All right, you should notice that over on the upper right-hand side, you have the blue submit button. You will click that once you're done, and it will generate a ticket. Remember, that's the text that appears under the blue text with the date and time. All right, so what you're supposed to do right here is ignore everything at the top. That's the second half. Scroll down until you find the article, and you'll notice that I've already highlighted some things. I'm going to read through this, and as I'm reading through, I will highlight items, and I've already done it just for the sake of for time, but also as an example for you. This is called Want to Get into College, Learn to Fail. Students shouldn't stress perfection in college applications. I ask every student I interview for admission to my institution, Pitzer College, the same question. What do you look forward to the most in college? I was stunned and delighted. Ooh, note, stunned and delighted. That gives a sense of deep meaning. Good vocabulary words. I was stunned and delighted recently when a student sat across from me at a Starbucks in New York City and replied, I look forward to the possibility of failure. I look forward to the possibility of failure. That stood out to me as important because that's not normally what we think. Of course, this is not how most students respond to the question when sitting before the person who can make decisions about their academic futures. But this young man took a risk. I highlighted it because I think that's going to be very important. This guy is taking a risk. You see, my parents have never let me fail, he said. When I want to take a chance at something, they remind me it's not a safe route to take. Taking a more rigorous course or trying an activity that I may not succeed in, they tell me, will ruin my chances at college admission. Even the sacrifice of staying up late to do something unrelated to school, they see as a risk to my academic work and college success. Now I'm getting a sense of what this is about. The parents have never let him fail. They see that anything outside of just doing your work and staying on course and taking the safe route could be a risky move. So I highlighted it. Next section is called Pressure to be Perfect. I wish I could tell you this is an uncommon story, but kids all over the world admit that they are under tremendous pressure to be perfect. When I was traveling in China last fall and asked a student what she did for fun, she replied, "I thought I wasn't supposed to tell you that. I wouldn't want you to think I'm not serious about my work." So here's where I highlight it again. Pressure to be perfect. Remember that the title of this article is Learn to Fail. And then he asked the student what she did for fun, and I highlighted that because it set up the next part. The girl says, "I wasn't supposed to tell you that." She didn't think she was supposed to tell him that because I don't want you to think I'm not serious about my work. Now I'm starting to get this idea that maybe people aren't giving the whole picture of who they are. They're only focusing on their work aspects, and the college admissions person would be more interested in knowing what they're like as a whole person. All right, the final paragraph that we'll do together. Students are usually in shock when I chuckle and tell them, "I never expect perfection." That's good. That's good news. I highlighted it. In fact, I prefer that they not project it in their college applications. Of course, this goes against everything they've been told and makes young people uncomfortable. Now, I could have highlighted that, but I think I already have a good sense of what's powerful in this. How could a dean of admission at one of America's most selective institutions not want the best and brightest? The reality is, here's the key. Perfection doesn't exist. And we don't expect to see it in college application. In fact, admission officers tend to be skeptical of students who present themselves as individuals without flaws. Wow, that right there stands out to me as extremely important, extremely important. Perfection doesn't exist, and the admissions officers tend to be skeptical of students. Those are powerful because they're really getting to the heart of what this guy is saying, what this person is saying as an admissions officer. The admissions officer is the person who decides whether or not you're a good fit, the applicant is a good fit for the school. In college, a person would have to apply, and if they are not selected based on their application, it's the admissions officer who had made that decision. Or if they are selected, it's the admissions officers who make that decision. All right, you're going to pause the video in just a minute. I would like you to finish reading this article, read all the way to the bottom, continue highlighting the powerful words and phrases. All right, now that you've finished highlighting, you're going to scroll to the top of your page. You're going to look at the questioning text tool. Here are the instructions. These instructions exist on the previous page back in Canvas. I'll show you. They're right here, but I thought I would put them on the page because it'd be easier for you to get to. You wouldn't have to go back to the tab until you've submitted this item. Put your name in, fill in the title and author. You can get that from the article. What type of text is this? We've already said it's nonfiction, so I'll give you that one for free. What do you already know about it from your first read? Go ahead and fill that in. What did you already know about this? It can be bullet points. It doesn't have to be a paragraph, but you should have 3 or 4 things put in there. The guiding question we already came up with. What words and phrases are powerful and unique? Another way of saying that is, what's meaningful about this? What actual words are meaningful? Since we generated this question together, all you have to do is fill in the text-specific question. You're going to develop this on your own, but you're not left like in the dark here. You are going to have, you have options, okay? In a previous lesson, we worked together on this. We came up with the question, several different questions that we could ask. Remember open and closed questions? Open questions have require a detailed response. That's the type of question that you want. Closed questions are the ones that are yes or no or 1 or 2 word answers. They're not bad questions, but they are weaker questions, and they don't help us actually close read. So use an open question. Here are some tips. If you look here, I've given you the graphic that you've seen before. Think about the 5 W's and the H. Avoid the simple closed-ended questions. Who did this? Where did it happen? When did it happen? Instead, focus on why and how. The what did question is good, but like what what occurs when or what happens when, but here we really want to focus like why and how. That's where you're really going to get the main thing. The what did the author say about, that can be a little tricky, but live over here with the why and how. Your questions need to be specific to the text, so it needs to ask something that's covered in the text. Here are some starters. So you could say, why did the author give this information? Why did the author think this? How did the author show the reader that? Okay. What did the author say to prove? Those are two of the same thing. What did the author mean when? You see, there's your what did. Why did the author include the section on this? And then how did the author argue? That one's a little tough, but it's very similar. What did the author say to prove? And then how did the author create? Now that one's really skillful. Like, how did the author create meaning out of this phrase? Or how did the author demonstrate? That's another way. How did the author demonstrate? So you're going to pick one of these stems if you need it, but focus on your why and how questions, perhaps the why did the author question. You're going to use your highlighting to help inform you. So look at things like perfection doesn't exist, pressure to be perfect. Think about what that means. Maybe something from down here that you highlighted. And then generate your question. After you've typed your question in this box, you're going to go up to the right-hand side and click Submit. Now, for some reason you get an error and the ticket doesn't generate, just go back to this page in Canvas, reload it, click on the tool again. It'll open a new tab. The Submit button will be there, and then make sure all of your text is still there so that you don't have to type it over, and then generate the ticket. As soon as you see that text underneath there, you know that you have submitted it and you've been successful. You could pause the video now and generate your question. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you didn't have much trouble doing that. Remember that your text-specific question has to have some information or has to deal some way with the text. It should be the why and how. You make sure you've submitted it. Go back and check your work if you need to. If you didn't use a why and how question, if you used a who, where, or when question, you need to redo it. All right, submit it, and now come back to Canvas. If you're on this page, you'll click Next, and then complete your exit ticket. This is going to be those close-ended versus open-ended questions. All right. Thank you for your hard work today. If you have any questions, you can send them to me through Canvas, and I'll be happy to answer those. We'll see you when you get back. Bye-bye.